So you've written both in your paper that's on your on Gates Notes, which I really recommend people read, and you've said elsewhere, the economy is not going to be anything like it was. It's going to take a long time to recover. It's going to be, people are going to be surprised at how slow and how fitful this is. It's going to take a long time to recover. It's going to be, people are going to be surprised at how slow and how fitful this is. It's going to take a long time to recover. It's going to be
time to recover. It's going to be time to recover. It's going to be.
What do you think about Kill Gates, Lucy? Wow, that guy's creepy. Luckily, I don't know him, or I don't have to know him. I'll just stick to my tacos and give him kisses. Nothing seems to make Bill happier than people dying and losing their jobs. Takes like a special kind of psychopath to have someone say, hey, this thing that maybe you caused, definitely you're involved in causing a lot of the problems, is really hurting and destroying a lot of people. And he's giddy as can be. I guess he doesn't have any PR people who tell him, hey, a little less happy. I know you're making billions off this, but just a little less happy, Kill. But he's making fortunes. I'll get into that a little bit. First of all, I should let you know, in the last 2 days, 2 of our videos have been removed from YouTube. What a huge surprise. Hi, the Dollar Vigilante. As you may know, our community guidelines describe which content we allow and don't allow on YouTube. Your video, Celebrate, the epidemic is over, let's all get back to work and play today, was flagged to us for a review. Upon review, we've determined that it violates our guidelines and we've removed it from YouTube. That video, by the way, is still up, of course, and always will be on BitChute and LBRY. And very quickly after, hey, hello, the Dollar Vigilante. As you may know, our community guidelines describe which content we allow. Your video, Corona hoax pandemic, proven fake, yet the lockdowns continue, here's why, was flagged to us for review. So that's like 4 or 5 now in the last week or 2. So basically, almost all our videos are getting taken down. So if you like these videos, you want to ever see them again, this is pretty much it. This is our final farewell. Almost nothing we put up stays up anymore. But you can at dollarvigilante.com/BitChute and dollarvigilante.com/LBRY. And if you download the app there on LBRY, you actually help serve the content. You can actually make some LBC coin, which was actually up about 10% yesterday. I've mentioned the best market for that one is dollarvigilante.com/CoinX. It's been doing quite well. So you just might want to get involved and help serve these videos because it's becoming very clear. I'm even seeing people who really don't, they're like 1/10 of me in terms of extreme. For example, Eric July, Young Rippa channel. He just had his first deletion. He's been on YouTube or ThemeTube for 15 years now and got his first video deleted because he was talking about coronavirus.
Got an interesting email from YouTube. Not even 30 minutes ago, as of the time that I shot this video. And the title of the email was, "Your video has been removed from YouTube." Now, believe it or not, I've never had a strike from YouTube, in terms of like a copyright strike or a paid strike or anything like that. I've had videos demonetized, of course, before, but this is the first video that I've had just straight up removed.
He even did a whole video on it, how he's confused. It's not that confusing. A lot of us alternative independent types, we know all about it. Dan Dix was demonetized at Press for Truth like a year ago, and now most of his videos about this stuff, especially just covering end lockdown protests, are almost immediately deleted.
This is Dan Dix here reporting for Press for Truth with an important video today when it comes to the coronavirus and censorship and how the powers that ought not to be are attempting to control the narrative moving forward when it comes to COVID-19 84. Now, you may or may not know that yesterday I covered a protest in Vancouver to end the lockdown. And just this morning, I received this email from YouTube. It says, "Hi, Press for Truth. Our team has reviewed your content, and unfortunately, we think it violates our community guidelines. We've removed the following content from YouTube. Protest to end, hashtag end the lockdown in Vancouver live with Press for Truth."
Even Luke Rudowski of Weird Change, he was completely demonetized a couple weeks ago.
Well, they hit us, and they hit us pretty hard today, as I just got the news moments ago that YouTube totally took away a large chunk of my income and totally demonetized my entire channel. Yeah, definitely not at a good time.
I don't know if he's ever had any videos deleted, but he's actually been pretty mainstream on this topic. But yeah, so don't expect to see us here much longer on YouTube. The good thing is we are on those other channels, and LBRY can't be taken down.
LBRY is a new way for people to publish and share content with one another online. When I stream a film on LBRY, other viewers share a piece with me. And yet, the artist stays in control. LBRY empowers creators to show their work on their terms, with anyone in the world. Suppose that I want to share content. I claim a LBRY URL, upload my work, and set a price. There are no middlemen, no advertisers, and no censorship. The bottom line is that LBRY, like HTTP or Bitcoin, it's a platform or protocol that once unleashed into the world, no one will fully own or control. How artists, authors, video and virtual reality producers, how they'll use LBRY to discover and transmit, buy and sell content, that'll be up to them and the demanders of content. So watching this spontaneous order evolve, it's going to be very interesting, and I'm delighted to be a part of it.
Unless they take down everyone's computer in the world and the internet, which is possible. But what you might want to do is just subscribe to our free email list at dollarvigilante.com. It's just free, and we just send out our video every day. And soon it'll just be our videos on BitChute and LBRY. There's also another site, by the way. Now, we don't put our videos up there, but he emailed and he said he really wanted our videos on his site. He does that with a lot of other people. Like, I always forget how to pronounce his name. Oh, Ole Damagard. He's a great guy. His videos are on there. I think you can get it at dollarvigilante.com/153news. So that's a completely alternative site. But yeah, Bill Gates. Bill is everywhere. You almost have to wonder about cloning. He's literally everywhere. Everything going on in the world today is somehow related to him. James Corbett, of course, who's I've highly recommended numerous times, just did another great video. Must see how Bill Gates monopolized global health. James is one of the best at researching information and putting it all together in a nice package. Highly recommend you see that video. In that video, he had a quote from ABC News where James found that Bill Gates has been I don't know what the word is, paying them $3.5 million a year, I believe, to include his medical propaganda on the news. And even a person at NewsHour, he's the communications chief, Rob Flynn, said, "In some regards, I guess, you might say that there are not a heck of a lot of things you could touch in global health these days that would not have some kind of Gates tentacles." Even when it comes to the food shortages that have all started to begin now, even Gates has been involved in that. He's involved with the shutting down of the meat processors, and he's also invested in these, I forget what they call them, like not meat or something. Basically, it's a lot of kind of crap you probably really wouldn't want to eat, but it kind of tastes like meat.
Bill Gates worked to end livestock production and pushed lab-grown meat. This coming from the fine folks at activistpost.com. Bill Gates and food giant Tyson heavily backed lab-grown meat research as the U.S., of course, faces unprecedented meat shortages due to processing plants going offline in, of course, response to the COVID outbreak. A long-standing globalist agenda to halt meat consumption is now being fulfilled, like all the other police state dreams are being fulfilled just magically. Tyson Foods recently warned that the food supply chain is breaking. Lockdowns have created a situation in which farmers have nowhere to send their product, and in turn, millions of animals are being slaughtered, wasted. Vegetables that would normally end up on store shelves are rotting in the field. Lab-grown meat producers are hoping that the COVID-19 outbreak could boost public acceptance, as Bill Gates was working to establish a worldwide digital ID system prior to the pandemic. That would be ID 2020. He's also working to end meat production and funding lab-grown meat. 2019 report, I think it was by TechCrunch, said that lab-grown meat was projected to hit the store shelves by 2022.
So he's even been involved there. Oh no, crap, I got the COVID. Oh well, just feel a little blah, that's all. Little sniffles. Should be okay, but we better shut down the whole world. Like, how much money is Bill trying to make off of all this? It's pretty incredible that while most people have been getting wiped out, his net worth just continues to go up and up and up. And I remember he used to go to a thing every now and then. It was kind of like a mini Bilderberg. And it was called The Good Club. Oh, I love how they say the opposite of what everything is. And it was people like George Soros, David Rockefeller, Warren Buffett, Oprah Winfrey, and they met actually before 2010. I forget exactly which year. And then in 2010, the Rockefeller Institute came out with their lockstep about a virus, about how they could basically shut down the whole world, destroy the economy, stop all supply chains, and institute an authoritarian government across the whole world in 2010. Then in 2013, the Good Club met again. And actually Benny Wills, who has been doing some of the poems at the start of these videos, he also did that Microsoft ad with the RFID chip, by the way. So I'll put a link to his video on the Good Club down below. Make sure you subscribe to his channel.
This is from The Guardian. This came out shortly after the meeting. And this is, well, you'll see. I'll just read these highlighted areas for you. They're called the Good Club, and they want to save the world. It is the most elite club in the world. Ordinary people need not apply. Indeed, there is no way to ask to join. You simply have to be very, very rich and very, very generous. On a global scale. Is anybody else sick of this word global? I'm just sick of the word global. Everything's global. Anyway, this is the Good Club. the name given to the tiny global elite of billionaire philanthropists who recently held their first and highly secretive meeting in the heart of New York City. The names of some of the members are familiar figures: Bill Gates, George Soros, Warren Buffett, Oprah Winfrey, David Rockefeller, and Ted Turner. But there are others too, like business giants Eli and Edith Broad, who are equally wealthy but less well known. All told, its members are worth $125 billion. The meeting, called by Gates, Buffett and Rockefeller, was held in response to the global economic downturn and the numerous health and environmental crises that are plaguing the globe. It was, in some ways, a summit to save the world. For 6 hours, the assembled billionaires discussed the crises facing the world. Each was allowed to speak for 15 minutes. The topics focused on education, emergency relief, government reform, the expected depth of the economic crisis, and global health issues, such as overpopulation and disease. One of the themes was new ways to get ordinary people to donate small amounts to global issues. Sources say Gates was the most impressive speaker, while Turner was the most outspoken. The Soros Foundation has done valuable work. Soros. I'm going to link you guys to, this article. You can read in the notes. This is the 206 U.S. organizations funded by George Soros. This is as of 2017. And honestly, the person who assembled this list is definitely a bit right-wing, but as you can see in his breakdowns of what these organizations are, but nonetheless, it is a very comprehensive list.
And of course, people like Rockefeller. Rockefeller was one of the first. In James Corbett's video about Bill Gates, he talks about how Rockefeller really perfected the art of paying off media to look like he's a philanthropist or a hero. And of course, these guys are the exact opposite. The good club is actually the bad club. And they always like to put in the media that all these guys, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, I think even Rockefeller, all gave most of their money to charity. I've actually been involved enough in doing trusts and stuff like that. I help a lot of people to avoid getting extorted, because I consider taxation is theft or extortion, and it comes from a criminal organization. And over the years, I've helped people to find ways to avoid getting extorted by them. So I know a lot about trusts. So as soon as I saw any of those, and it was the Bill Clinton, the Clinton Foundation. Oh, what heroes. Yeah, just look at all the good they did in Haiti, raising, I don't know, tens or hundreds of millions of dollars. And I think they built like 15 little shacks or something.
The single largest relief project that the United States committed taxpayer dollars to, $124 million to be exact, was a project called Caracol, a textile factory that was built in the northern part of the country that was supposed to create some 60,000 jobs and was supposed to create tremendous economic growth.
There's a problem here already. You see, the earthquake affected the southern part of Haiti. The northern part of the country was entirely unaffected.
But who were the beneficiaries of this? Companies like Gap, Target, and Walmart, to name a few. The Caracol factory was built, but it didn't create 60,000 jobs. It created barely 5,000 jobs. But the major American companies who got textiles tariff-free, made at low wages, benefited enormously.
And the end effect on the Haitians was very, very minimal. If you look at some of the infrastructure projects that were undertaken, the Clintons had very grand plans to build large tracts of homes, and there were contractors that were selected for those projects. Sometimes the contractors had experience, sometimes they did not.
There's one company in Florida that spent $1 million getting equipment into Haiti. They had experience in disaster relief, but according to the owners of that company, they only made a small donation to the Clinton Foundation. And guess what? They didn't get any relief contracts. On the other hand, the contractors who did win the awards were given the opportunity to build homes and in some instances were supposed to build tens of thousands of homes for Haitians. They ended up building a fraction of that. For instance, New Settlements program was supposed to build 15,000 homes for $53 million. Instead, it built 2,600 homes, less than a quarter of the original estimate, for $90 million, or $47 million over budget.
And they got away with it.
And the rest all went to operating costs, of course. But it is a very well-known thing amongst anyone who has any kind of money, anything over $1 million or $2 million, that you start up a trust or foundation. And then you put your assets into that, and it's called a charity donation. Then you get back a lot that you were extorted for. And by the way, I have no problem with them avoiding extortion. But I do have a problem with how they and the media try to make it look like they're just giving all their money to charity. No, they're not. Bill Gates' net worth has never been higher. It just keeps going up, even though he gave most of his money to charity. How did that happen? It's because it's all a ruse. Your average person isn't supposed to know this. So this video will probably get taken down off YouTube, but if you're smart now, you should know to be on BitChute or LBRY. And what has really happened here? We have a so-called virus that so far, as of now, has had far, far, far less deaths and less hospitalizations than the 2018 influenza year. And I put up a link to an Anarchast episode with Murdoch Pisgatti. He was the guy who went with his gun to help a nail salon in Texas stay open in the land of the free. And he was saying in that video, I'll put a link to it down below, very interesting video. This guy is amazing. That he's gone into every hospital in his area and they're all empty. That's all we've heard from almost everyone. And even those doctors who their video got taken off of YouTube were saying that the hospitals are mostly empty. And some of them are saying they're just closing down a lot of hospitals now because they're so empty. It's the strangest epidemic, pandemic of all time. No hospital, there's like almost every hospital in the world is empty. Doctors are being laid off, and people are still hiding in their houses. It's unbelievable mind control. Like, here's a chart of their projections. This is projections for California hospitals that came from the WHO or the CDC or one of those groups that Bill Clinton, or not Bill Clinton, they're almost the same. They both been to Epstein Island. They're both friends with Epstein. There's photos of them both with Epstein. But Bill Gates controls the WHO, CDC, and all that. And their original estimates were hundreds of thousands of hospital beds needed in California. And then they estimated again, and it was like, okay, tens of thousands. And here's the chart. There's like no one in hospitals in California. And even Bill Gates was interviewed on CNN. It was in the same interview where he's laughing and laughing. Hey, Kill, you know almost everyone's lost their job?
It's going to take a long time to recover. It's going to be, people are going to be surprised at how slow and how fitful this is. It's going to take a long time to recover. It's going to be, people are going to be surprised at how slow and how fitful this is.
It's going to take a long time to recover. It's going to be...
Long time to recover. It's going to be long time to recover. It's going to be...
It's too bad. I'm doing great. In that same interview, this guy in CNN, I put him up before, he sometimes puts out a little bit of true information. He was questioning, he's like, why is everything locked down? I'm surprised he's still on CNN. But he was so nice to Kill Bill in the interview, because you have to be, he's like your sponsor. If you've got a YouTube channel and you have one sponsor, you're not going to say anything bad about that sponsor. But even in that one, he brought up that the original estimates were for hundreds of thousands of hospital beds needed. And as of right now, I think he said there's about 2,000 that are used. And Kill Bill just sort of brushed it off.
We are back now with Bill Gates, whose foundation has already committed more than $250 million to fighting COVID-19. Let me ask you about the economy. When trying to open up, one of the challenges is some states are opening up earlier than others. Some countries are opening up earlier. Can we be sure, that we know what exactly the right levers are and how to open up? And I ask this because there are a lot of governors, for example, who are criticizing the predictions that were made. The Florida governor says, look, there were all these models that predicted to us that we would need 200,000, 300,000 hospital beds in use for COVID. We have 2,000 beds. In other words, the predictions were way off. We didn't, and the implication is they didn't do an enormous amount of the hardcore lockdown, and they're still okay. What do you say to them?
Well, I wouldn't say they're okay. They're not suffering as widespread an epidemic yet. If they open up enough, they can go back into exponential growth and, compete with New York on that basis. The uncertainties about this mean that because of the exponential nature of this, yes, some models were wildly wrong. Models are never going to be perfect in these things.
And Kill Bill's kind of saying, yeah, might have just got lucky this time, but it's going to come back. Here's a chart. Deutsche Bank put this together, which is kind of funny because I don't know how they're still alive. Well, I guess from all the bailouts. Here's their chart of all bank bailouts for decades, all bailouts combined, compared to this one. You can barely see 2008 on there. It's so small. And all past crises, got a hound, a pug, are tiny. I have to actually zoom in for which of these other ones were. They're so small. All the long-term capital management, it doesn't even show up as having anything. Now look at the far right. These are all the bailouts so far. It massively dwarfs every other bailout by a lot. And no one's even noticed. It's pretty incredible. And the big thing is that a big part of this was to shut down worldwide supply systems, and that's what we're seeing. We're now seeing things like Romania has banned wheat exports. Just so you know, Romania is the second largest wheat producer in the European Union. We're going to see a lot of countries starting to do this because they're going to basically be saying, we don't even have enough for ourselves right now, much less exporting. I saw one article about egg costs rise in Florida or some area of the US by 180%. Talked about earlier about meat producers shutting down. The price of pork products on the market has gone up like 300% in the last month or two. This is going to get unbelievably bad for a lot of people. And all because of basically a lie. I never would have thought they'd be able to do it, but it looks like they've done it. And this is going to cause so much chaos in the world, and a lot of people are going to have so many problems. I just came back from Acapulco. A lot of the people who live in what you call like the barrios or the pueblas, the little towns where most people don't have anything. A lot of them survive off a few bucks a day they can make doing this or that. So many of them are hurting. And that's why I mentioned in the last video, I gave $5,000 US just while I was there and bought quite a bit of food, and I think they said it's already all gone. I did set up a bit of a charity site if you want to donate. It's at dollarvigilante.com/ACA. There's also a Bitcoin and a BCH address on there. And anything you want to donate, we've got people on the ground there. Almost everyone in Acapulco actually knows this is a scam. I didn't meet anyone there the whole time who thought it was real. What they said was, this looks like it's basically the CIA or the globalists trying to destroy the economy. Like, talk about, you got people in little pueblos that know more than people who work on Wall Street who have no clue what's going on. It's pretty amazing. And it's because they're all brainwashed from the television programming. And down in Mexico, not a lot of people watch that stuff or care about it. So I've been saying for a while, if you haven't grown a garden yet, you better get on it. What do you think, Lucy? Yeah, it's hard to grow tacos in a garden, but you know, I do like those apples. I love apples, actually. So yeah, I'm cool. Yeah, Lucy loves apples. I don't know any other dog I've ever had that considers apples like better than steak. That's good, Lucy, because there might not be any steak around for a while. But of course, in the home of the brave, land of the free. Here's an article, couple fined for having a garden. Florida criminals to impose $500 a day fine for growing vegetables. $500 a day. Not just a one-time sort of a extortion fee, but if you're growing vegetables today and they catch you, they're going to try to extort you for $500 or they're going to try to kidnap you. Do you see now why I always laugh when people say Mexico is dangerous and the US isn't? No one could do that around here. No one would put up with it. And if you keep growing vegetables, the next day, those criminals who are being paid for by extortion of the same people will come by and say, "Oh, you're still growing vegetables? $500. Like, this is beyond unbelievable. But in many ways, it's exactly what I said was going to happen. In the meantime, we've been recommending precious metals and cryptocurrencies, and Bitcoin has more than doubled since the start of this crisis. It hit a low under $4,000. I think I saw it on one exchange around 3,500. It almost hit 9,000 yesterday. It's almost tripled from the bottom. Weird they're not talking about that. They don't want people to know. And of course, we've seen, as soon as they started handing out $1,200 checks to everybody, a little payoff for their giant raping of everyone with the massive bailouts, trillions of dollars, they gave everyone a few pennies of it. And there was a huge spike in the amount of people buying Bitcoin in the amount of exactly $1,200, which is great. I really don't know, like, how much longer they can keep this up and have people believing them. Like, even, well, I guess if you're hypnotized and brainwashed so much, you'll never ever see the truth. So you could, there's some people, they've been hypnotized so much, it's by television programming, the mainstream media, the government indoctrination, or what might as well call them concentration camps. Especially now that they've got kids in China wearing these concentration bands, which tracks their brain thoughts. And if they're caught not paying too much attention, they get the social credit score lowered. So people like that, like, I could be telling them, I could say, okay, look, what do you see? And they'd go, I see the US flag and I pray to the US flag. And I'd be like, you don't see like a nice, beautiful blue sky, green grass, lots of birds. Do you see Lucy? No, I just see Donald Trump and US. Like that's hypnosis. So it's unfortunate. Those people are going to get absolutely destroyed. But maybe, hey, maybe they deserve it. I mean, everyone needs to take responsibility for their own minds. And if you allow people to completely take it over, and if you're so lazy to not even try to figure out what's real or not, then maybe it's, you know, you get what you deserve. But the crypto is doing very well. And precious metals been rising a lot lately. The stock market as of today, I'm recording this on Friday, is down 600 points or something. But notice whose stocks aren't down. Microsoft, Bill Gates, all-time high. Man, no wonder he's so giddy. And I was thinking about it. If you are worth $100 billion, and if you actually really care about making more money, which I can't understand, but some people, that is their God, right, is money. And so if you're worth 100 billion, what can you do to double your net worth? It's pretty darn hard. It's a very well-known thing in investing that once your fund gets to a certain size, it gets harder and harder and harder to make good returns. And it's because most of the good returns are usually in smaller things that are quite speculative. So even if you could find those things and get into them, the things that go up 1,000%, it's so small that you wouldn't be able to get enough of your assets into it to make a really good return compared to your entire portfolio. So someone like Bill Gates, he's like, okay, I'm the richest man in the world. He's not, by the way. There's far, far richer people. They're the ones who really control things. Bill's sort of like their puppet. And man, I can't believe how many shows he's on. Like if I have to do one interview a day for a week, I'm exhausted. And maybe it's partly because I just don't like it. But he's been on every channel. I was just looking through YouTube, search, Bill Gates interview, and put a filter on for like the last week. It's like he's everywhere. And just laughing. Just laughing away. And I guess the reason he is because everything he's doing is making him a ton of money right now. Even a lot of the other so-called billionaires, they're all getting killed right now. Not all of them. Jeff Bezos is doing very well. He works with the Pentagon. So he's, allowed to do okay right now. But people like Richard Branson of Virgin just went bankrupt in Australia. I don't think it went bankrupt in other countries yet. Most of these will. So Bill's like, my plan is working so awesome. I'm making way more than anyone else. And I'm gonna make tons, hundreds of billions more. And how is he gonna do that? Well, just watch James Corbett's latest video, but he's invested in every single vaccine-related thing you can imagine. He basically controls the World Health Organization, which decides what can or cannot be said on the internet. That's why a lot of our videos get taken down, because it goes against WHO guidelines. Who could that be? Bill Gates. He's making money on destroying the supply chain and feeding people what looks like is going to be something like Soylent Green soon. And every video you just have to watch. Someone should do a little montage of him saying vaccine. It's just every third word, vaccine, vaccine, vaccine. He keeps repeating it, right? What you want to do if you want to get things into people's heads is keep repeating it. So he keeps saying, I'm an expert on vaccines. I'm an expert. Wow, he's so smart. He knows so many things. But what he's really an expert on is eugenics and actually making a lot of money. That's why he's done so well. And once he gets these vaccines that he's got a lot of people in the world begging for, because, oh my God, look at this. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. Well, yeah, all of us die at some point, but everything's fine right now. I don't know what they're talking about. They're crazy. He said, I don't know how many times, every single person in the world needs his vaccine. That's 7 billion people. And if you just do, let's just say he makes a $10 profit on each one. I'm sure it'll be higher. But just to make the math easy, 7 billion times $10 profit on each, I'm sure it'll be higher, it could be as high as 50, is $70 billion. That almost doubles his net worth overnight. And he keeps saying, and we're gonna need one every year. So is hoping he'll be a trillionaire in the next 5 years or so, really, while most people are wiped out and don't have anything. That's his dream. That's his goal. But I really don't know how much longer they can keep this going. There's a lot of people starting to just say enough is enough. I saw another one on High Impact Vlogs, which I really like that channel a lot. And he just had a CNN interview with a barbershop in California.
I don't think you want to say, maybe it's okay if I get it.
Well, I don't know if half the people who get on ventilators don't get out of the hospital either.
I know that. That's a stat. That's data.
I'm so glad that he said that.
You're a healthy young lady and you recovered from it. I'm a healthy young man. I'm going to recover from it. I have no mitigating risks. Any of my clients who do are welcome to not come to the shop and quarantine as long as they feel necessary for their loved ones and for themselves. I'm not going to force any of my clients to come to my shop.
Listen, again, I feel for you. I feel for all of these Americans who want to get back to work and are eager to. But as you and I are sitting here and talking, there are numbers. And again, I'm pointing to data, to facts on the side of the screen. And you can see how many total cases globally, the deaths.
Yeah, Brooke, let's talk about those Johns Hopkins University big pharma numbers. Did you know that according to Deborah Burks, those numbers are 100% fraudulent?
And the government says you can't open your barbershop or any other business. Only Walmart, of course. All the big companies can. Just raping the little people again. And he said, yeah, I'm opening up. I don't care what they try to do. I don't care. We're all dying. And the woman was it was unbelievable. She's like, but you could hurt somebody. And he's like, he actually said something that I found a bit funny. He said, listen, every barber in California is forced to take, I think he said, I can't believe this, I think he said 1,800 hours of training?
It takes 1,600 hours for us to get a barber's license through the state of California. So we're vetted, and we're experts of sanitary containment.
To get a permission from the government? So what he was saying is we're super trained so we can handle sanitation and stuff like that. But what the F? How can you teach barber school for 1,800 hours? How long is that? That's a long time. Like, I'm pretty sure here in Mexico, if you're a young guy, you go to a guy you know who's a barber and says, can you teach me? He goes, sure. A week or two later, you're pretty good. But anyway. So what I think you can really see them rolling back on what they're saying now. They're like, I've even seen Kill Bill say, hey, looks like everything's getting better, but that might just be the summer because, and he kind of hinted at this, he kind of said, well, flus kind of go away a lot in the summer. That's right. And that's all this has been. This has actually been one of the better flu seasons in a long time, but it's been a really bad corona season. So he said, yeah, but it might come back in the winter. And hopefully I'll have my vaccines ready for all you guys then. Oh, thanks, Kill Bill. If anyone even has a job, if anyone even has any money. So we might see them roll back a bit here, and it's because too many people are waking up. Like I said, they can't force you too much. There's 7 billion of us and like very few of them. And so it's, once enough people wake up, it kind of ends, but they'll try it again, I bet, in the winter. And by then, the economic situation is going to be unbelievable. It's going to be economic devastation, but we'll see. There's still not much opening up, but it looks like it just might a little bit. But you have to do your stand 6 feet apart, wear a mask. Hopefully, hardly anyone does it, but I know a lot of people will. And I think it's because a lot of people are really scared to die. So if you're scared to die, you should work on that. Because everyone's going to die at some point. So why would you be scared of dying? If you understand what's going on, that's why I say do your physical, mental, spiritual work right now. And get to the understanding that, this is just a ride, like Bill Hicks said. And when we die, we don't actually really die. It's pretty complicated, and I don't fully understand it, but that's basically the truth. But too many people really are scared to die, and they'll believe. If you're scared to die, almost anyone can do almost anything to make you do anything. Because you're so scared. When you're in fear, you can't think. And that's what this whole thing has been. So anyway, I'm just working on the next issue of the Dollar Vigilante right now. Should be coming out in the next few days. Tons of good info. We've been making a ton of money. The last trade from Ed and Cash App in our newsletter made a lot of people quite a bit on buying oil tankers because there's nowhere to store oil, so all the prices are going up. And I actually saw a lot of mainstream people copy our recommendations. So basically, a lot of people subscribe and then they put it out as their own recommendation, which is actually fine because our subscribers get it first, they buy it, and then other copycat guys on CNBC or whatever who get our stuff will say it themselves, and that'll bring in a lot more buying into the thing. So it almost guarantees us profits. So that's pretty good. So you might want to subscribe. We're just making a lot of money right now. dollarvigilante.com/subscribe. And man, what a crazy time to be alive. But I guess we'll see what happens next. I'll be back soon. Like I said, I'm back from Acapulco now, thank God. The 1 week birthday party is over. And really looking into boats still. I actually started talking to a friend of mine who builds yachts in Croatia, which is right next to Liberland. I won't say too much right now, but looking into building some really amazing solar-powered, completely sustainable little boats and houseboats that you can even have in places like Liberland. Because I know a lot of people have been messaging me that they want to really get out of a place like the US right now, and I really do recommend it. Even if they roll it all back, it's coming back in the winter. They all said it was. And the only way it can stop is if you keep spreading this information. If enough people understand it, when they come out next winter and they go, oh my gosh, there's 1,000 people who got this new thing that looks like the influenza, and 10 of them have died already. Hopefully we have enough people at that point who go, turn off the television, keep working, don't listen to cops, and don't listen to the government ever again. Right, Lucy?
Yeah, I never listen to those guys. Look at that, they're all a bunch of criminals. Just keep to myself, as long as they don't bother me. It's all good. I just eat my tacos and give lots of kisses.
You've seen the Dollar Vigilante on mainstream media trolling the fake news, and seen Jeff Berwick travel inside places like Venezuela and Cuba to expose the truth about what's happening in those socialist paradises. To get even more, make sure to subscribe to the Dollar Vigilante newsletter to receive 2 full 30-plus page issues from the Dollar Vigilante each month, plus market alerts on precious metals, Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and gold mining stocks by going to dollarvigilante.com/subscribe. Click on the link in the notes below or go to dollarvigilante.com/subscribe to find out more.